This guy who's got his arm lock around my neck, he's torquing down all his might. I can't get my head up. So remember, I just close my eyes, I grip my teeth, I make impact to the ground. Top of my head hits the ground, but my body keeps going forward. All that momentum of the pile is going down and to the front. And as my head gets stuck, my forehead comes against my chest, literally nose into my sternum, and I just feel this god-awful crunch in my neck.
Have you ever had one of those moments in life where you have felt absolutely paralyzed or stuck, like you couldn't move? Well, today I have had the honor to sit down with an incredible guest whose story and spirit left a lasting impact on me, and I think he will do the same for you. He faced the unthinkable and turned it into something extraordinary. Robert Paylor is an author, a TED Talk speaker, and an inspiration that has been featured on major networks. He took one of life's hardest hits and turned it into a reason to rise. Please welcome the incredible Robert Paylor. I have known you for a month, but you are a friend to me. We had such a good conversation before this. You're a perfect example of somebody who has survived a situation where life can change in an instant. It was May 6th, 2017. Getting choked up already. You played rugby for UC Berkeley.
Go Bears.
It was your championship game, and it changed in an instant. Next thing, you were paralyzed, laying on the field. What happened?
That's my day, right? May 6, 2017. I think we all have these days that really change everything for us. This was it. To that point, I woke up thinking it was going to be the best day of my life.
Yeah.
National championship. I'm starting as a sophomore for the number one team in the nation. So just to give people some context to what it meant just to get there, we're fighting for our 31st national championship on that day. Since then, the program's held 34 national championships, and the tournament's only even existed for 48, 50 years. So you can look at any team at any level in any sport in America, and I think the only team that has more hardware than us is the Harlem Globetrotters, and their games are rigged. So, like, we're doing something right. And for me to just get on the team and then start as a sophomore in the lock position, which, like, demands size. It's kind of like a tight end type if you were to equate it to football, and, like, skill and body type. To get to that position was a huge accomplishment. So then there's that on the rugby side of things, like academic side of things. I'm going towards my business degree, Haas School of Business, very prestigious undergraduate business program, one of the best in America, number one public university in the world. I'm like, everything is going my way. It's a really good time to be me. And then we go to this game. And it's like a minute and a half into the game, they commit a penalty. So we do what's called kicking it into touch. We kick it out of bounds, and we get like an inbounds from where the ball went out of bounds. We call it a line out. So you line up on two lines, you have a tunnel in between, and then you lift people up into the air. They grab the ball, and then from there you start playing. And we decided to do what's called a maul, which is when the bigger guys, we group up in one unit. We start pushing to advance the ball, and the defense tries to come in. They're trying to stop us from moving forward. So very much a boiler room. It's where the big guys thrive, and I was a big dude. Still 6'5", but at the time I was around 245 pounds, 20 years old. I'm on the field to move people, just moving bodies that don't want to get out of the way. We're like 5 meters off from scoring. I'm like drooling here thinking, let's go, Rob, drive this thing in. And then as I do that, the opposing players, they're making illegal moves, but the referee's not calling anything. So I'm like shoulders down, back flat, pushing forward, 3 players coming from the side of the maul, which are things you can't do, and the ref's not calling it. And then the number 8 comes in, and he binds me in a headlock. So he's got my chin pinned down to my chest. Normally in rugby, that's an automatic yellow or red card. You do that, you're gone, but the ref's not calling it. And here I am in my head thinking, okay, a lot of things going on. This is getting really pear-shaped, but there's only 2 things you can do. You can stand up, throw your arms out, and say, hey, ref, what's going on? You going to call this? Or number 2, you just keep moving forward. And that was my decision. Keep moving forward. As I do that, there's another player who comes in. He chops me down by my legs. He collapses the maul, which is another penalty. And this guy who's got his arm lock around my neck, he's torquing down all his might. I can't get my head up. So remember, I just close my eyes. I grip my teeth. I make impact to the ground. Top of my head hits the ground, but my body keeps going forward. All that momentum of the pile is going down and to the front. And as my head gets stuck, my forehead comes against my chest, literally nose into my sternum, and I just feel this god-awful crunch in my neck. and then it's just poof, like totally clear and conscious in this moment. I never lost consciousness for 1 second, just as aware and clear as I am right now, but completely numb and motionless from my collarbone down. And I'm lying there. First, I'm just screaming. And I'm on my front, kind of arms contorted over here, head turned down and to the left, very unnatural position. I looked like a corpse, and I'm just screaming. And keep in mind, the play didn't stop at this point. The referee says play on. So they're within like meters of me.
Nobody has any idea what's happening to you.
No, but I think those who are thinking know that this is really bad.
Yeah.
And I certainly knew it was. And in seconds, I knew what had happened. I knew that I broke my neck. I knew that these are catastrophic and chronic injuries. These aren't things that you just wake up next day and it was a stinger and you're okay. This is real, and you deal with this your whole life, and you usually don't get any better. Because I had seen this happen before. I thought of, I don't know if you ever heard of Eric LeGrand. He was a Rutgers football player. Special teams play, goes in for a tackle. Things didn't work out, missed time, breaks his neck. And I get the updates years later, and like he has the fight of a warrior. This guy's spirit is just amazing. But he deals with very significant paralysis. I'm sure he wouldn't wish that upon anybody. And I'm thinking, that's going to be my destiny. I pretty much saw a future where I'm going to be in a wheelchair, can't even itch my nose if I want to. I'm going to get pointed to look out a window or watch TV. My mom is going to spoon feed me, keep me alive, help me go to the bathroom. One day she's going to die, a lot earlier than me. And then I'm going to have some caretaker just keeping me alive. And my life is going to be meaningless, without hope. And essentially I just died on this day. And I go over, we do our like CT scans, MRI, X-ray over at the hospital. Doctor comes back, bad look on his face. He says, Robert, what happened to you is bad. It's really bad. And the reality is you'll never walk again. You'll never move your hands. And we're going to do our best so that one day you can do something like pick up a piece of pizza and bring it to your face. And if you can just feed yourself, you made it. Like, you beat all the odds. And then he doesn't stop there. He recommends surgery to me, a spinal fusion surgery. So he explains that the disc in between my C5 and C6 vertebrae ruptured into my spinal cord, and I had fracturing at my C5 and my C6 vertebrae. So that damage that was done to my spinal cord might only continue to increase unless we perform this emergency spinal fusion surgery, really permanently casting that area of my spine, which had been broken. And he said it was my best chance at stability and recovery, but I'm like, there's always some kind of but. It was a potentially life-threatening surgery. A lot of important real estate right here. My body was already freaking out. I had a 103-degree fever, spiked up to 105, kind of that danger zone for a brief period. There was a possibility that I might go into this operating room and I might not come out of it alive. But he told me I had 1 hour to make a choice. So I'm like, okay, I got to get my affairs together quickly. And my faith is very important to me. It's just the foundation of who I am. And in this moment, I really needed to invite God into this. And I'm Catholic, so I wanted to have a priest come over to give me the sacrament of anointing the sick. That way, if I survived, I've really invited God into this journey. But if I died, my soul would be cleansed for heaven. It was like receiving my last rites. And I call my spiritual director to see if he can get a priest out here. He says he will, and he works that out. But he gives me this piece of advice that was like this precipice moment. Like, it changed everything for me. And he said, throughout this journey, there's going to be a lot of things that you just can't control. But the one thing you always can control is your mindset. So your positivity, your ambition, your willingness to wake up every day and fight this is up to you. And this injury can't take that away from you. So I got to think at that moment, like, I didn't have a lot. I didn't have some doctors saying that everything's going to be okay. I didn't have signs of life showing up in my body. And I did not have the odds on my side. But I had this decision to keep moving forward. And in this extreme situation where I can't move or feel anything, someone just told me I'm not going to move or feel anything ever again. If I even survive, I could still control my mindset. I could block out all these emotions that are trying to crumble on me right now, put that to the side. We're going to deal with that in another moment. But right now, I need to decide what I'm going to do for a decision that could make or break the rest of my life.
Yeah.
It gave me a lot of mental clarity to go into the surgery. And my brother held the phone in front of me, helped me FaceTime my best friends. I told them I love them. I might not see them again. I sent a message to my rugby team and a religious retreat group that I had done in high school. And priest came in, anoints my forehead and hands for the sacrament, say my prayers with my family. I get rolled into the operating room. They put that gas mask over my face. They're like, all right, count down from 100. I think I made it till 97. Lights were out, and that concluded that day for me.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's big stuff.
huge.
Let's go back to the game for a second. You had not one, but two foul plays
Even more, honestly.
in that moment.
Yeah.
Was any of that ever brought up while you're at the hospital? What did they do about it? What about the players involved?
Yeah.
Have you spoken to them? Let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah. It's a whole can of worms.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So originally, we didn't know exactly what had happened. In those malls, there's a lot of contact points. I wouldn't have been able to articulate to you on day one that there were three players who entered in from the side. Number 8 wrapped his arm around my neck. I was collapsed by my legs and driven into the turf. It just like it happened in seconds.
Yeah.
I'm in the heat of the moment. I'm not like paying attention to all these factors. But this was a nationally televised game on NBC Sports. So the game footage was also poor. It was this like press box angle that didn't really show you much. But then in the days following, this evidence started to produce itself from end zone footage and sideline footage that I had been seriously wronged. Most critically, this arm around the neck, because you can have players coming in from the side, you can have people chopping you down by your legs. My head position would have been up and I would have just slid on the ground. I've done it hundreds, maybe thousands of times. Almost half of, or more than half of malls that you go into in rugby end up collapsing. So this wasn't some fluke thing. My coach, he's been coaching for over 40 years. He's witnessed probably 10,000 collapse malls, but it's only in one of them that somebody broke their neck. And we believe it was because there was an arm around my neck torquing me down into the ground. So this was really the critical moment. And we were thinking, obviously, there would be some sort of investigation that would ensue from this to really study what had happened here, learn from it, and then have some sort of education that would happen after that to show like these are critical rules that you must follow in the sport of rugby, or we'll have more Roberts in this world. And it was amazing. USA Rugby wasn't starting an investigation. And we're like, what is going on? My head coach, Jack Clark, like I said, 40 plus years of coaching, 30 national championships under his belt. He's like the guy in
Right.
USA Rugby, American rugby at large. He contacts the global governing body, USA Rugby, to open up this investigation. He browbeats them for a month and they're eventually, okay, we'll do this. And they set up, like they called it, an ad hoc committee where they had some different professionals come in and examine this footage, not from a disciplinary point of view, but more like fact finding. They come back 2 months later and we are like dumbfounded. They're saying things like Robert was not his fault here because his head was below his shoulders, completely negating the fact that I was torqued into this position. So we look at that and we're like, this is completely unacceptable.
Right.
Here I am in a hospital. I can't breathe. I can't eat. I might not even make it through this. And these people are like trying to sweep this under the rug. We're like, this is ridiculous. So we send it to the next thing. They send it to another guy who I think his official title is like a citing commissioner for World Rugby. He gets the report as kind of like having the final say of things. And we're hoping he's going to do the right thing. He comes out with a report and I see less evidence of any sort of muscle strain on Robert's neck, where I can show you pictures and videos of this guy. He was torquing down on my neck to get me to the ground.
I saw the video.
Yeah.
He absolutely was. Yes.
It's clear as day.
It is.
And so, yeah, they really just ended up trying to blame the entire thing on me, which I was disgusted by. It seemed very deliberate and intentional, with zero regard whatsoever for me and the people who play rugby. Because when you make decisions like this, it sets a precedent. And the precedent that they essentially set was it doesn't matter what you do on the field, how illegal it is, how much proof there is against you, and what the outcome is. If you get away with something on the field, you're good. We will do nothing. You could paralyze someone and render them a quadriplegic, put on like death's door, essentially, in the hospital, and we'll do nothing. And we'll actually blame it on them. So we were pretty disgusted. My coach, Jack Clark, was really the most vocal about it all. It was 3 years of just relentlessly going at them, really decrying this investigation. I even forgot to mention there was a whole series of check boxes that they go through in these forms. Did you contact the coaches? No. Did you contact any players? No. Referees? No. Medical personnel? No. Bystanders? No, no, no. Like nothing. It was just a mailed in investigation, which we continued to decry. And then it was about 3 years later, USA Rugby declares bankruptcy, really well run organization. And they cleared house in their leadership. And when this new board came in, one of the first things that they did was decry the investigation and say that going forward, we'll have immediate, thorough investigations. All those boxes are going to get checked yes, because what happened here was not deserving of what Robert went through and everything. He really deserves so much better. The game and the players who participate in that sport do as well. Took a long time, but we got there.
So they picked up the investigation and went through the thorough checkbox process.
No,
They did not.
no. So nothing really happened in terms of my investigation and its results. It was really more for investigations going forward in the future. Yeah. But the thing was, for me, that's all I cared about.
Yeah.
I'm never going to play rugby again. I never wished for this person who broke my neck to get suspended for life from the game or anything like that. Do I think he tried to bring me down in that mall? Yes. But do I think he tried to paralyze me and break my neck? No. And I didn't want to ruin his life. I never even thought about suing him or anything like that. I wasn't really trying to attack him. I was just trying to protect the players who play the game that I love so much. That satisfied me that they were at least going to try and do what they can to prevent this from happening to someone else.
Because you're a good person.
Trying to
You
be.
have a heart of gold. That's what that tells me.
Thank you.
Did he ever apologize to you?
He hasn't ever reached out to me. He hasn't ever said he's sorry. And in the beginning, that was really tough. I had pneumonia. I couldn't swallow anything. I lost 60 pounds in a month. My doctors are telling me you might not survive. And I'm getting maybe 2 hours of sleep a day between all the treatments that I'm doing. And I can't move anything. And I'm just like racked with this anxiety of what does my future look like? And then I find out how this happened, and I'm filled with a rage that I can't even describe, because none of this happened because I was doing something stupid. It wasn't some decision that I regret or something I did and I shouldn't have done, and it led to this horrible injury. And it wasn't even just like a fluke, like just an accident, just happenstance. It's like someone did this to me. And then you have this kind of lack of remorse, being that I've never heard of him. And it was just a recipe for rage back then. And that I've never been at that point in any other interaction in my life. And I really saw it as a fork in the road. And it's, I can go down this and really hold on to this rage and hatred and maybe try to get back at him and stuff like that. Or I can choose to forgive him and really put this in the past. This is where my faith really came in big time. I was just like, you know what the answer is, you know what you got to do.
Right.
And I said, okay, yeah, that's it. I need to forgive this person. So in the beginning, it was a total fake it till you make it thing. I did not feel like forgiving this person at
Sure.
all. But people would come up and they'd ask me, Robert, what do you think about this guy? Did you see what happened? What's your take? And I'd say, I forgive him and I wish him well. But deep within me, there was still a lot of anger and hatred. But regardless of what I felt, I just continued to say those words. I wouldn't give power to those things that were bringing me down and really putting wood on that fire and making it burn hotter. And as I chose that path, I think it just allowed time to run its course. So I get detached from this situation and things start building in my life. There's things I'm really focusing on, I'm grateful for, I'm excited about. And I'm not spending all this time looking behind my shoulder at what lies behind me. I'm looking forward because that's where I'm going. And it's just amazing. Over the course of some months, as I was doing this fake it till you make it approach, I really started to feel it in my heart, this forgiveness and this detachment from the situation, to where here I am now, 8 years later, completely freed from all of that, because it was that control your mindset type approach again, that we go back to that first day, where it's, I can't control what happened to me and I can't control my emotions, but I can control what I say. And over time, I think what we say really can have influence over our feelings and our thoughts. And I was able to achieve that. So I think forgiveness is just always the answer. I think that forgiveness is more about removing negative attachments that are in us than removing guilt from someone who did wrong. And if this person ever does reach out to me, I will wholeheartedly and from my heart be able to say, I forgive you. And I really do wish you well in your life. So for me, I've moved on and I'm so happy that I did.
I'm happy you did too.
Yeah.
I believe finding peace in your heart with some of the hardest things that you go through
Yeah.
is how you get through. You don't hang on to it. I'm very sorry that happened.
Yeah. But you don't have to be sorry. I just want you to be inspired.
I'm very
That's what I'm
inspired.
telling-
Your soul is so big and open, and you're such a beautiful person. You're soulful. You really are.
Thank you. It's real.
It's authentic.
Yeah.
What was really going through your mind in that moment when you're laying on the field? Did you know that you were paralyzed at that moment, or did you think this is the immediate shock that my body's in, and once we get to the hospital, it's all going to shake off?
My first thought was worst case scenario, referencing those stories that I had seen in the past. So there wasn't a lot of thoughts going back then. It was a lot more feelings of just like sheer terror. I am in a nightmare and I can't wake up. Is what's going on? And just trying to I'm looking for an answer too. I'm like, what is going on? I remember I got into the ambulance. He's giving me a rundown of what we're going to do when I get to the hospital. He ends with, do you have any questions? I'm like, am I going to walk again? He says, I don't know. And I actually really like to hear that was really good because it wasn't a no. So it's kind of like that Dumb and Dumber line where it's, so you're saying there's a chance. It was
Good.
like
I
that.
didn't hear what I was thinking I was going to hear, so I'm good.
Yeah, so I'm hoping they're like gonna do like a little scan and they'll be like, hey man, we found a kink in the cord. Just leave a tip on the way out. You're all good. So I'm kind of like holding on to it as I'm going through these scans, like extremely cautious optimism. But then when I hear that news from the doctor, I mean, he all but crushed it. He all but crushed that optimism. I think what really helped me to respond constructively to that was my upbringing as an athlete. I get to compete on some the best rugby programs in our nation for their respective levels, with Jesuit High School, where I started playing rugby, and then to UC Berkeley, both having the #1 program in the nation, which is no easy feat. It doesn't just happen. You earn it every year. And
Yeah.
when it's 10 minutes left and you're down, like, you don't just give up. You try harder. When the odds are stacked against you, that's when you really level up your game. So that was my response. It was like, if I have a 1% chance of making this happen, I have to be in the top 1% of hardest worker to put myself in that statistical outlier. So I really took it on as just, I have one life. This is my one shot at this life. And I am not going to spend it with regrets and just being complacent with the situation that I've been given. I'm really going to fight for everything that I've got. It's that effort that I'm trying to control and really be proud of or hard on myself for. It's all about effort.
Think back to what the doctor said. You'll be lucky if you can feed yourself a slice of pizza and,
Yeah.
and look at you now. How much of your upper body, what percent did you gain back? Because the day on the field, you couldn't even move an arm.
Yeah, nothing. Now here I am talking like an Italian. I got my hands moving everywhere. I have had 80% return in my upper body. It's amazing. And in my trunk, it probably took me 3 months to be able to go from just like elbows on my lap to be able to come up here to an upright sitting position. It took 3 months just to be able to do something like that.
Wow.
And now in my lower extremities, which is where I'm working at most, I can walk 500 yards in my walker. I did 100 sit-to-stands up and down from my bed. I can stand in that static position and balance. I mean, it's just amazing. 1 yard would have been a miracle. So to be able to do 500 is just out of this world.
Yeah. I've watched you. You just got back from Hawaii. Yeah. You were walking in the ocean with your brother. Absolutely awesome to see that moment.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so cool. It's like moments like that are just so much richer now. I think I'm a lot more present.
Yeah.
And just like taking in everything that life has to offer. Those are like the really big moments, being able to go on such a beautiful place like that and walk in the ocean, and I'm in my ABC store floaty and seals are coming by and stuff like that.
That's
Like those
awesome.
are wonderful, but then those little things too,
Yeah.
I really cherish. a lot more. Wonderful conversation like this, or being able to have a really nice dinner with my wife, or like that time together to make it together, like stuff like that. Beautiful sunset, like things are just a lot more rich because I know that this life is temporary and there's not always going to be tomorrow. So I don't live with that thinking like I'm going to make sure I put all my bubble wrap on before I step out of the door. It's really just appreciating every day that I have because it's such a gift. So I think that's something that I try to get everybody to feel more, just how
Yeah.
precious every day is.
You've written a book. I read it. I absolutely loved it. It
Good.
grabbed me right out of the gates, Paralyzed to Powerful. And what I loved about it is we all have moments of feeling paralyzed in our emotions with something that's happened to us. I could identify with that. But there was also something that you talked about that really hit home for me, and I think it's true for everybody. You moved from a facility in Santa Clara to Denver, somewhere in the Colorado region.
Yeah.
And when you made that move, I think you went to a concert at Red Rocks.
Yeah.
And there was a moment in the book when you talked about you weren't being present. You were thinking about other things related to your healing process. But you realized in that moment that I'm here, the place I've never been, Red Rocks. I'm at this concert and I need to bring my focus into this moment and be present. I thought that was incredibly powerful because we are all guilty of being in a great moment and allowing our mind to take us somewhere else. Talk about that.
I'm so happy you brought that up. Nobody's ever done it before. That's awesome. That's so cool because it was such a big moment. I'm
Yeah.
thinking at this time, I'm probably, oh boy, 3 months into my injury, something like that, as I'm out
Yeah.
here in Denver. Red Rocks is just like such a gorgeous outdoor amphitheater. There's nothing like it. And I'm a huge Darius Rucker fan. So I'm like front row seating for the accessible seating. It's like my personal concert with Darius Rucker, like in what should be like a national park. But at this time, I was so consumed with just being able to walk again. And hard to blame me. I just looked at everything so differently. I'd watch a movie and I'd see someone stand up from a chair and I would just be so locked in. Oh my gosh, what it would feel like to be able to stand up from a chair again. Like just,
Yeah.
and, or I'd be watching Forrest Gump 50 times when I was in that hospital because all they had. And I'd see that moment where he's like breaking out of his braces and like sprinting. And I'm remembering what it was like to be able to sprint, like really wanting that.
Yeah.
My whole worldview is just so changed. And here I am at a hospital doing 8 to 9 hours of therapy a day, completely focused on this goal of getting as much mobility back as I possibly can. And it was hard not to have that tunnel vision, whereas all I'm focusing on is being able to walk, being able to have all my physical abilities back. And it could taint a lot of moments like that where here I am in this beautiful place listening to my favorite musician and I look around and I see people who are standing, they're dancing,
Yeah.
and then it's like that pain starts to sit in of what I had lost and all these other people have. And then Darius Rucker plays this song, It Won't Be Like This for Long. I'd never even heard it before. It's not a popular song of his or like a hit. And it's talking more about like the travails of being a parent and kind of like the difficult periods that it can be done in parenthood. But you really got to hold on to that and cherish it because it won't be like that for long. And
Right.
it hit me in a couple different ways of one, this is a difficult period, but I'm going to make it through this. I will get through this. Walking or not, I'm going to live a very wonderful, beautiful, meaningful life. And the other point, like it was just this light on the end of the tunnel. It's going to be progress and I'm not going to be here in this state forever. But then also like there's a lot of positives that I do have to really appreciate right now. I had my mom by my side. I had a wonderful therapist who was there with me, an incredible team of people who were supporting me, really a global community just pouring out their love to me every single day. Those were things to be grateful for. Those were not things to overlook and just wish this period of my life away. And I started crying. I was just weeping listening to this song with that realization. So it really showed me to find balance in my goals, to where ambition is very good, but it can't just dominate your mindset. You really have to be able to keep your head up, take in the gifts that life has for you at this moment and really appreciate that. Have joy in that, kind of coming back to that message of just tomorrow's not always guaranteed. So
That's right.
life is very much to be enjoyed and goals are important too. So keep that in balance. Don't delay happiness, just waiting for something to happen that will finally allow you to be able to have that inner peace and joy.
I love that. It's so true. I like how you describe it. It's not life is too short. Life is enjoyable. You have such a positive mindset. You look at everything the right way. Going back to the days of working hard and putting the work in
Yeah.
and where you found the strength.
Yeah. First, I'll say, just like practical standpoint, it was just a really good support system.
Yeah.
That's something that was more other people's doing than mine. And I really did my best to be a positive person and to make a good environment where people just want to be around me.
Yeah.
But more than anything, it's just the incredible generosity of my family and my friends and so many strangers coming up to visit me. It was incredible. So that's number one. But then beyond that was some real like mental intentionality, with what I call like a mental diet.
I read
Yeah.
that in your book. I love that.
Really important. So we all understand a physical diet, right? It's nasty in, nasty out. Or if our bodies are going to perform better, I think the same thing goes for our minds. And the more we're taking in negative information, we have negative interactions throughout a day, the more negative we're going to be and the less able we are to take on our challenges. But the more positive information we take in, positive interactions we're having throughout a day, the more positive I think we're going to be in the long run. And we're more able to take on those challenges with resilience and a positive outlook. So for me in that hospital, I had a lot of negative influences around me. There was just my circumstance, and I had a lot of nurses who were like, Robert, you're never going to walk again. You're never going to move your hands. And the sooner you come to terms with that, the better it will be for your mental health. And
Yeah.
number one, that ended up being flat out wrong, but that was also poison to my mental diet. When I heard stuff like that, I had to have a real intentional ability to recognize that, try to just neutralize it. It's not always like turning that frown upside down. It's more just like realizing, okay, this is some toxic information that's coming into my mindset right now. I'm just trying to not let it get to me, more neutralize it, and then seek out some positive stuff really habitually. So back then, I couldn't hold my phone, but I'd ask my brother, Brant, hold the phone in front of me. Let's start scrolling through messages of supporters or looking up stories like quadriplegic walks again, things that were like giving me hope that could really fuel me in this endeavor. And through that, it helped me not to be able to just like grudge through this whole thing,
Yeah.
but really to be able to have positivity about it. But it was so intentional. Like it didn't just happen. And I have to continue to carry that into my life now. We all do. There's negative things that happen all around us every day. But if you're really intentional about it, you can stay above that equilibrium line and really have that positivity in the long run. It's good to be intentional like that.
It's a healthy diet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Where did the mental diet come from?
In terms of just the practicality of it, it just happened. The
Yeah.
term, it was more just thinking and stuff.
Yeah.
There's probably other people who talk about a mental diet, but it was just something where I was thinking. I was
Yeah.
listening to some podcast, and they're talking about we track what we put into our bodies, but we don't always track what we're putting into our minds. And they pretty much put it together. Me, I'm like, it's like a diet. Yeah.
It is. I'd never heard mental diet till I read your book, and everything you just shared is so true. And we have to stay away from all that negativity.
We do. Yeah.
Otherwise, it becomes us.
Yeah. And I think like that routine component is huge.
Yeah.
It's really hard when you're going through a difficult situation to just start building things up in the moment. It's good to have a foundation to really rely on. For me, I get up in the morning and I try to limit the time that I'm spending on my phone right away because usually there's meaningless stuff working its way into my brain. There's no intentionality behind that as I'm waking up. So I try to set the tone more intentionally. For me, a lot of that's in prayer. I'm sitting down, I'm praying for my loved ones, and I'm thinking about this day. I'm like, okay, I got these things going on this podcast that I have coming up with Teresa. Really like help this be a positive interaction. I'm like
Yeah.
praying for that. I'm praying in gratitude of the things that I had yesterday and these things I have in front of me today, really focusing on the positive and those things that I'm stressed about, giving it up to God. So that really gets me in that good mental diet space. And then when I go to bed at the end of the night and I'm dozing off, thinking about my day, I'm not thinking about all the things I have to do tomorrow or those things that are really bothering me from the current day. I'm really focusing on what was I grateful for. And that's big things and it's small things. Like my wife made a really awesome dessert that I really enjoyed, or the sunrise was great, or little things like that.
Yeah.
Just going from morning to night, like what was I grateful for? And I think those habits really help.
You're intentional.
Yeah,
That's
totally
great.
intentional.
You had talked about what you're grateful for before you go to bed. I think that's important. We all have tough days.
Yeah.
And I asked myself what went well at the end of the night to stay there.
Yeah, it's so good and it's so easy and it always helps me fall asleep faster too because I'm not stressed.
Exactly. Your mental diet is extremely healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're a little bit of a celebrity with everything that you've been
Pseudo.
Talk about how that came about.
It was just pure generosity from people. I really didn't even do much. It was really early on, we started seeing this is expensive. Breaking your neck is not a good financial decision.
Okay.
It's extremely expensive. And we needed help, especially
Yeah.
if taking this on in the long run, like car conversions, home conversions, caregivers, a lot of these things insurance don't cover. It adds up, especially in the long run. And I wanted to go out to Denver and we need housing and things like that. My best friend's mom started up a GoFundMe campaign to help
Okay.
pay for some of these expenses. The financial support changed my life. I would not be here today if it weren't for those dollars that got donated into this campaign. But people would oftentimes leave notes of support and many times confiding these really significant things that they were going through. Like, I have stage 4 cancer. I just lost a son or daughter or a spouse. I'm going through the hardest thing I've ever gone through right now, but seeing your fight and your perseverance is helping me through this. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I'm like, this is incredible. This is my meaning.
Right.
This is my purpose.
Yeah.
So I just started, it was kind of like the one thing that the injury was giving me. It'd taken so much away, but it was giving me this ability to help people be their best or go through a really difficult situation. And so I started posting a lot more about my recovery journey and sharing that. And that's just like how it all started. It was really just this reciprocal kind of thing going on where I'm able to help others with my perseverance. And
Yeah.
by them giving those messages of encouragement, I'm more able to persevere and find meaning throughout all this. So it's
Absolutely.
kind of how it all happened. But all of this is just the incredibleness and beauty of everybody who's ever offered me any kind of support. I'm just doing my thing.
It's inspirational and you are helping people. You said your recovery was more about your mind and less about your body.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've talked about is the mental diet and how you leaned into that. What would you tell someone today if they were struggling with something? What would you tell them?
Oh, man. I would say lean into perspective. That's really helped me. Now, it's a tough love approach. It's not easy, but it's really helped me. And I would just think 2 months out of my injury, when I was able to start, I'm getting things that are starting to move a little bit, but my life is still so difficult. When I had those moments of complaint, of feeling really sad, I could look back to the things that I was going through previously and have that as a reference point where I'm like, old Robert Paylor would give a lot to be in this situation right now. And I look at myself right now, I'm able to walk 500 yards, do these amazing things, have a wife who I love so much, and really just building a beautiful life. Remind me not to complain about anything ever again. Because old Robert Paylor would give anything to be here. So
Yeah.
that's one part of it, just realizing we've all been through really significant adversities. I think it's important for us to reference back to those and be able to say, I've done harder things. I've done harder things. I think that's a really good mantra to help us push through a difficult situation in our life.
Yeah.
Also realize we've made it through 100% of those hard days
Yeah.
in our past, 100%. So we got a pretty good average going here. I think leaning on our past experiences really helps, but then looking outside of ourselves, I think is most critical. And I would spend intentional time in that hospital looking up stories of warriors coming back home from war without limbs, and homeless people and people who are living in third world countries, like really terrible situations that nobody should ever have to go through.
Yeah.
But I look at them explain their lives happen every day, a lot of times with their smile on their face. And then again, it brings in that realization for me, remind me not to complain about anything. These people would give so much to be in my situation in this wheelchair right now. They give so much. Millions of people right now would give almost anything to be where I am right now. So that really helps me.
true.
And I wrap it under this saying of compared to what? It's like, I'm really tired, but compared to what? Or there's a lot that I'm going through right now, but compared to what? There's so
Right.
much that I can do. There's so
Yeah.
much that I do have. Now, that statement isn't meant to dismiss our challenges. I think it's really unhealthy if we just dismiss our challenges. We do that, it just ignores it. Challenge will never go away. But what that is meant to do is just put our challenges into perspective, help us realize that what we go through is overcomable. And there's so many people who would rather be in our situation than their own. So I think that perspective component is something to just like really build into those daily habits and way of life. And
Yeah.
it helps us to really take that mountain of a task that we might have in front of us and come and just boil it down to something where it's, this is something that I can overcome.
Absolutely. That's how I keep moving forward.
I think it's so much easier when you have like those people in your life who are going through it. I think it's important to reach out and help those who are in the thick of it for their benefit, but also to give ourselves that perspective dose as well.
Do you ever get people that call you?
Yeah, regularly. And I love it. I love being able to offer any support that I can. Most of the time, it's just some words of encouragement, but it comes back to that. It gives me a lot. And I do not go through the hardest thing that anybody could ever go through, not even close.
Pretty amazing to hear that from you because a lot of people would think, I don't know what I would do if I were in his shoes. It does start with mindset.
It's all there. Yeah, our body's not going to do anything that our mind isn't commanded
Right.
to do. It really all starts up top. I think that's where the focus ought to be. But again, it's habitual and it's routine.
Yeah. You mentioned your wife.
Yeah.
Tell us about her because she came after accident.
Yeah, I didn't even know her. She is so much cooler than me. She's amazing. There are a lot of people who lost money when she said yes in the proposal. They're like, dang, I really thought she'd say no, or at least phone a
Right.
friend or something. Carson is incredible. When I was on that field, I was thinking, who's ever gonna want to date me, marry
Right.
me? I'm sitting on this field and I'm thinking like, okay, my body's going to get like some significant atrophy. So just like from a physical perspective, I'm going to be like unidentifiable. And then just like the challenges that get taken on. And here I find myself in college. I make it back to UC Berkeley and I'm looking in the mirror and I see the ridges in my sternum and I'm like, I was as heavy as I was in like 8th grade. And I just looked in the mirror and saw something I wasn't proud of in terms of that exterior image. I missed very much what I had. And there's that, but then there's just like the day-to-day challenges that I have to take on. There's a lot of sacrifices in my life, and I don't have a choice with those sacrifices. I either accept them and do what I can do, or I do nothing with my life. But for a life partner, it's a choice.
Yeah.
There are a lot of fish in the sea. And I thought, what person in their right mind would choose to take this on? Because I don't know if I would. And my wife did and does every single day. And I remember when I met her, I was going to this group called Athletes in Action. It's like this Christian athlete
Okay.
get-together group. And one of Carson's friends, mutual friend, was like, you got to come to this group. And she eventually broke me. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I'll go. But I needed a lot of help getting through the hills of Berkeley. These things are crazy. It's like San Francisco. It's like hills. They make movies out of these hills. So I needed help. And she's, I'll come help you. And I'll bring my friend along with me, who is Carson. And I think, oh my gosh, this girl is gorgeous. She's tall, she's smart, she's funny. I'm gonna do my thing. Like, I'm gonna try and kind of shoot my shot here. And I thought it was like total swing and a miss. Like, move on, dude. She is not interested. That was me just being an idiot. I totally misread the situation. She was totally interested, but yeah, I just had my insecurity issues at the time. And lucky for me, one of my best friends is now married, but at the time was dating one of her best friends from Santa Cruz. They're on the rowing team together. And he comes up and he's like, dude, you are a total idiot. This girl really likes you. Yeah. So thank goodness he wipes me up. We went on a double date. We had a great time. Went on our first date about a week after that. And the rest is history. We got married in November of 2023. But I think that was the biggest thing to really help me feel at peace with what had happened and really love myself like for who I was, because this person, by her free will, chooses to love me and only me for the rest of her life. It changed everything. It showed me that everyone's worthy of love. And it's not about our exterior or our accomplishments. It's about who we are on the inside that is worthy of that love. And she changed my life. She really did. And I'm so grateful to have her. I'm like, everybody tries to say they're the luckiest person in the world. They're wrong.
You are.
It's me. It's me. And it's because of her.
She sounds like a keeper.
She
You
is
know, she's got a heart of gold.
the best.
Did she have any experience with what you're going through?
Yeah, she was a caretaker in college for a woman with cerebral palsy. She just knew a lot of the ins and outs of disability. And whenever I needed help with something that's not normal to ask for help for, we needed to do things differently. She either knew exactly what to do right away or just didn't get so shell shocked by things. She was just used to like, okay, there's the way the vast majority of people do stuff, but sometimes we have to do things a little bit differently. And she's just on it with no complaints and not the size and things like that over time, because there is definitely like a caregiver fatigue that can take place. She's just so well equipped for that, and it's match made in heaven. I truly believe that.
That's so cute.
Yeah,
And so she works.
she's working right now.
You work too. You get up
Sometimes.
on stage and talk. You've been on TED Talk,
Yeah.
inspirational speaker. You're inspiring to everyone.
Thank you.
Going back to your book, the other thing that I loved was laughter. I'm a huge fan of that when people are at their worst. I think you need to have laughter. So talk about what that means to you.
Yeah, it's huge. So it's so funny. When I wrote this chapter in the book, it wasn't supposed to be like this big thing.
Yeah.
It was more just, this is heavy. I need a bit of relief for the reader here. I had all these funny experiences. So my co-author and I were like, let's do this thing. We got to meet Bill Murray, which was unbelievable. I'm sitting in my hospital. It's a weekend. I'm trying to get out and about because I'm just locked in the hospital during rehab the whole time.
Yeah.
I needed to come back really quick, and I was there with my grandparents and my cousin, and the medical director of the hospital knocks on my door. Hey, Robert, someone's here to see you. And I'd had a lot of strangers come by and visit just with the publicity of the story, a lot of rugby people in the Denver area. And I get out of my room, and here is Bill Murray, like in
Out
the
of the
flesh.
blue.
I'm like,
You're-
I couldn't even, I didn't know what to say. I was like a broken record. I'm like, no way, no way. I was a total idiot. And he's there like telling dad jokes and stuff. He like took the doctor's stethoscope. He's got it in my head. He's like, you got some crazy thoughts going on in there. And
Oh, how
we're like
cute.
playing Mercy, the game where you like try to squeeze someone's hand as hard as you
Yeah,
can. It's
yeah.
stuff like that. And it was just amazing like how a guy like that can take minutes out of his day and make an impact on the rest of someone's life. But kind of kept teaching me this lesson, like you got to be able to laugh.
You do.
I did that right away too. It was the day after my injury, and my teammates were there to see me. We all knew what had happened at that point. I wake up and there's tons of them in the lobby waiting to come in the room, and we could only have two at a time at that point when I was in the ER. And my two best friends come in the room first, and I can only assume that they're expecting to see a completely broken version of me. I can't move anything. My doctor doesn't even know if I'm going to survive throughout this. What are they going to see? And I came in, and one of my buddies had gotten into the Haas School of Business at Berkeley, which is very competitive to be able to get in. First, you got into the university, then you do a couple years of prereqs, and then you can apply to get into the business school. So there's 4.0s in Berkeley getting denied from this business school. It's tough. And you do essays, interviews. It's a very comprehensive application. And he just got in, and he goes in the room, and one of the first things I say is, I'm going to be able to write a hell of an application essay now. This is going to be the essay to end all essays. This is the story. So
This is
it
a
was-
story that's going to get me in every school I want. Yeah.
I'm good. I'm good for life. So anyways, it was just like that moment where it showed them I'm still me. Yeah, I'm laying down all the time at this period. And there's a lot that I'm going through, but this hasn't changed who I am. And I can still have those moments where I'm just Robert hanging out with my buddies, having a good time. So humor really helped me get through a lot of those tough moments, sometimes pretty dark humor. But it just all gave levity to what was difficult situations. I think if I didn't have that, it just would have been too much to take on all at once. So good to keep that sense of humor. That's really helped me.
Yeah, absolutely. Did your teammates laugh when you said that, or were they still in the very serious moment because of what condition their friend was in?
Oh, they're cracking up. Yeah, they're cracking up. I think that just showed them like, okay, we can be normal here. There was like a 12-hour hiatus, but we're good now.
Yeah, because people probably were being fragile around you.
Yeah. I think at first they didn't know what to expect. I can only imagine. I think just clearing the room there with some jokes and whatnot really helped to show like I'm just me, and that's something that I'm really proud of. I have a very significant disability, and I don't try to overlook that. It's not wrapped up in my identity. My challenges aren't who I am. It's overcoming that and just continuing to be me regardless of what life throws at me. I think that humor is kind of the way to move beyond that.
Right.
Yeah.
And you walk
Yeah. Yeah.
Impressive.
Thank you. So, goodness, I think it's 3,009 days since my injury now to the day. And I keep track of that. That's something I
Mhm.
started doing in the hospital. I post almost daily walking videos of me getting up into my walker and doing my thing.
Yeah.
The name of the game now is reps. And the more reps you do, the stronger you get. And the stronger you get, the more reps you can do. My progress is not this linear thing. It's not like I'm going just a little bit further every single day. Some days are better than others. Some days I'm not going nearly as far as I normally
Mhm.
can. Depends how the nervous system's responding. There's a lot of factors that go into that, but it'll be kind of like staircase progression where it seems like I've plateaued. I'm going along and then just shoots. It's 25% better, 50% better, way up. And then I kind of have my new standard, and then it shoots up again. So if you trend line it out, it's all going up. I'm really grateful for that. But I get into my walker almost every day. I got some braces that I put on my leg. They help me to go a little bit further and be more
Mhm.
stable. And then usually I've got my wife right behind me to make sure everything's okay, don't have too big a tumble. And I go as far as I can, and it continues to progress. So it's amazing. I was told very early on that my optimal recovery window would be in my first 6 to 9 months. And then my total recovery window would be in my first 2 to 3 years. After that 3 year mark, shouldn't really expect anything. You can work as hard as you want, but it's more to just kind of keep your body in shape. You shouldn't expect like neurological recovery. And I set that walking PR of 500 yards from my previous one of 400 one day before the 8 year anniversary of my injury. It just goes to show the power of that consistent effort over
Yeah.
time. It doesn't always have to be like intense and the hardest thing you've ever done, but consistency over time really pays off and sure has for me.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
And if you're consistent, it will come.
Yeah.
That's my belief.
Yeah. And I got to think like with those statistics that were laid out, I think it's because that's when most people give up. Eh,
Consistency is also very hard.
Yeah. It's
People
really hard.
don't do it well. Most don't.
Yeah.
Think
Like,
about January. I'm on a diet, I'm in the gym. 2 weeks later, none.
exactly. Yeah. You brought up earlier, a lot of people thinking, I don't know if I could go through what Robert's gone through. And I think it's that consistency that's the most difficult part. I think
Mhm.
anybody could do this for a week, for a month, maybe a couple months. After that, it gets pretty tough. You really got to have like that like strong mental component dialed in, some good habits that you're leaning on because that's the most difficult part. And I think that's why people quit is just like the lacking of consistency. People would ask me sometimes, have you ever thought of giving up? I think it's a good question. And honestly, I haven't. The thing that I try to avoid the most is just where it just fizzles out. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm pretty tired. I don't think I'm going to work out today. And then the next day, I'm like, man, I'm still tired. I'm not going to do that. Or I got a lot of other things going on. I think I'd like to focus on that. And then before you know it, the goal and the endeavor is just gone. It didn't get
Yes.
prioritized. So it
Yeah.
kind of all works its way back to that consistency.
Do you ever say, you know what, maybe I'll take 1 or 2 days off?
I don't because like it gets at me. Like I
Yeah.
made it so far. The most soul crushing thing that could possibly happen to me is losing any of this progress.
Yeah.
I have worked tirelessly to get where I am today. I just can't imagine what it would be like to look myself in the mirror and think, you just deprioritized this and got worse. When I put my head on the pillow at the end of the night and I know I didn't give it everything that I had, or at least some kind of effort, like 5 minutes, that's all I need, just something, then I'm like, I'm really getting on myself and I'm
Yeah.
having a hard time just going to bed. I'm like, why didn't I do that? It's not that hard. I try to at least, like when I was on vacation last week, there were some days where we were really busy. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to spend 5 minutes in my walker and I'm going to try and put as little weight on the walker as possible, as independent as I can, make it a really intense 5 minutes. And that's like what I've got. But I check that box for the day. I'm like, I'm doing something. So I think that helps.
You are at a point where you can lay off the walker just slightly.
Yeah,
I believe, I know you believe you will walk again.
I believe it. I
Yeah.
really do. It's interesting. It's day one, I'd be like, it's walking or nothing. That's all I can accept. And in my last chapter in my book, we called True Success, I talk about the fact that I can walk a bit, but my goal on day one was to be wheelchair independent, to stand up from my wheelchair one day and never sit back down. And that hasn't happened. And statistics say that will likely never happen. We're talking like 95% or more odds that I will spend the rest of my life trying to get out of this wheelchair, and it's never going to happen. And I've thought, does that mean that I failed? Am I a failure? Did this injury get the best of me? And I think the answer pretty clearly is absolutely not, because I have joy in my life, gratitude for each day, and purpose in my life. I think if you have those three things, joy, gratitude for each day, and purpose, you are successful. So it's not all about like me getting out of my wheelchair. It's not all about hitting that $1 million revenue goal or hitting IPO, like all these actual tangible goals. That's good, shoot for it. But again, it doesn't come at the expense of your happiness and feeling successful. We can talk to a lot of people who have really killed it in an endeavor, but they're really depressed and they don't have a real meaning in their life. I think we need to strike balance in that. I think the real goal in anything that we do should be that joy, gratitude, purpose. If you have those three things, you've been highly successful in your life. And I think that's what I'm most proud of, is not just the yardage that I can go and walk. It's really those intangibles that I have within that made it to where this earth can throw anything it can at me, but I won't let it break me because I'll have those three things.
And that is the law of attraction and manifestation. I believe in that, and it all comes true. You have the right mindset. You answered one of my last questions. Well, I always like to give some kind of takeaway. That was beautifully done. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming. I'm glad you said yes. It was an honor, truly an honor to have you. I had to hold back the tears a number of times, choking on my own words. I would love for others to be able to follow you and get your book, Paralyzed to Powerful. Share where we can find you.
Totally. First off, like, honor is all mine. Seriously, I'm so grateful, extremely grateful. Come across the country and everything to be able to do this from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. So yeah, for the folks looking to follow along, all the big social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, X, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. I got a monopoly on the name Robert Paylor. There's not a lot of them out there. So just search Robert Paylor and you'll find me right away. And then the book, yeah, Paralyzed to Powerful. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, really any online retailers where books are sold, you can find it in paperback, hardcover, ebook. I did an audiobook myself. I narrated it, so kind of that personal touch for the people like me who never read. But it's just been wonderful to see how that book's impacted folks. I think a lot of people came into it expecting to learn more about me, and I'm really excited when they learn more about themselves. That's what I've really hoped for.
And you ask a lot of questions in the book.
Yeah.
I love that.
I want to bring it back.
You have to get his book. It's a page turner.
What a powerful interview that was with Robert. His story is incredible and very inspirational. For those of you that are going through challenges, his story is a great reminder that no matter what you're going through, you do have control over one thing, and that's your mindset. And being consistent with whatever it is that you're trying to overcome, and really believing in yourself that you are going to get through this, because you will. If you liked what you heard today, stick around, because I've got more stories like this that we're going to be sharing. And I'll drop where you can find Robert's book, Paralyzed to Powerful, and his social media links in my notes and in my description. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.